90% of guitar players struggle to sound like their heroes. They learn the songs, the licks, but something's missing. It still sounds lifeless and stale. Is it the gear? Do I need that new overdrive pedal? Or is it that secret scale that all the pros use? That's what I need, right? Just tell me what I need to do to stop sounding like a noob. So we'll break down the playing habits the pros have, and this will have a much bigger impact than wasting your evenings on stale exercises. Let's go. The quickest way to tell a casual from a pro, their bends. Most casual players have very weak bends. David Gilmour, on the other hand, has very emotional and mellow bends. They're not too fast, not too slow, they're the universal standard. They're usually very confident, controlled, straight to the point. Sometimes the notes start dropping as soon as it reaches the peak. His style is all about control and purpose. And then there's someone like Marty Friedman, who has a lot of tension in his bends. Sometimes he'll bend from a non-scale tone like a flat 2 bending to the minor third. Sometimes he'll dip below the target note just a little bit to add tension before going back up. Always so spicy. Many players also don't think about adding vibrato to their bends. You know, you gotta wiggle that thing a bit. Gilmour's vibrato is usually pretty quick, but very subtle, compared to, let's say, Zakk Wylde, whose vibrato is, well, it's wild, isn't it? Technique-wise, I mean, some people manage to have really decent bend with their thumb behind the neck, like Dimebag did it. Scotty LePage, who incidentally has a dime tattoo, also does it. It works for them, but for most people, wrapping your thumb around the neck is going to be a lot more stable. If you're looking for inspiration, listen to Time by Pink Floyd or The Last Lament by Marty Friedman. It's very solid stuff. Now let's take a look at general feel. Last week I was given a lesson and teaching a very simple lick to a guy. And as soon as he played the notes, I said, that's it, you got it. But then my dude said, wait, that's not how you're playing it. You're adding other stuff to the note, right? You're not just playing stale notes. And my guy was 100% right. And because of him, I'll never teach another lick the same way without feel. Why? Because why learn 1,000 licks if you can't make any of them sound good? Now, of course, feel is an umbrella term, right? We use it to describe a bunch of stuff we do to the notes to make it sound more interesting. But we're gonna look at two guys that do a couple things extremely well. John Mayer, I've noticed, will change his vibrato style in the same lick. And this is next level because even a lot of pro players have like one set vibrato style that they use almost 100% of the time. But in every leads, there are moments of excitements and depression. And John actually uses his vibrato to accentuate both. Another thing he does extremely well is add micro bends to add tension, but Robin Ford actually does it better. Listen to John Mayer's track, I Don't Trust Myself with Loving You, and How Deep in the Blues Do You Want to Go by Robin Ford. Pick attack and dynamics. Guys that play a lot of heavily compressed, dirty tones, like me, we tend to pick extremely hard, like maniacs. And that is why most metal guys sound horrible on a clean tone. But Joe Satriani managed to be extremely expressive for a guy with such a heavy tone. Now from him, I learned to be extremely aware of the sound that I make when I'm picking. You know, adjusting the pick angle, the surface of contact with the strings, using my fingers even, where I pick in relation to the bridge. There's a lot more stuff to do than just picking lightly or heavy. Listen to If There's No Heaven, especially the beginning. It's so emotional. I love it. Guthrie Govan once said, guitar players bend too slow and they slide too quickly. Now when I think slides, I think Steve Vai, because he can turn a stale triad lick into gold and a boring pentatonic lick into For the Love of God. Pay attention to your slides and be extremely critical of how they make you feel. Practice this by listening and playing along with For the Love of God. Now let's look at Time and Groove. How many backing track promo video get millions of views on YouTube? Guthrie Govan has the most exciting grooves in his leads. Now listen to his stuff, not as a lead player, but as a drummer, trying to pick up the beat in his licks. Forget about the crazy licks and the smart modal changes he does. Just focus on the beat. That alone is genius. Now, both you and I are not doing this enough, but here's why it's a good news. Because learning to play with cool rhythm, it's 100 times easier than learning to play clever, emotional leads. I mean, I don't know why people are not talking about this more. Maybe they're too busy trying to sell us the idea that you need the secret scale that the pros use to sound cool, or, oh, you can do everything inside this one pattern. But by truly listening and analyzing how the pros are playing the note, we realize that the attitude behind the note is actually what makes it memorable. I mean, think B.B. King. There's nothing insanely clever in his playing. He's a legend. It's not about scales or techniques. This cannot be learned with tabs. Now, when you learn to do this with simple theory and scales, you can eventually expand it to everything else, and you're gonna make all of those cool techniques sound a lot better because you'll be able to play with feel. Challenge of the week! Ah! Pick a lick or a solo that you already play it along with YouTube at 75% speed, and make sure you play it exactly like the guy's doing. You're gonna learn so much from doing this. Make the simple stuff sound great, then everything else will sound great. Stick around for more content like this. Guys, I appreciate you watching the whole thing. Cheers.